We are back. We're going to dive into this growing concern for homeowners across the country. The state of the insurance market, if you've gone to home, it can double on you.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be thousands of dollars. Skyrocketing premiums, shrinking policy options. Many are wondering what is going on. So we're going to have Leash Yu break it all down for us. Leash, I've personally known for a long time. He's so smart. You're so nice to join us. He's a real estate and insurance expert, a managing director at Higginbotham. Leash, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you guys calling me and putting me on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Leash, we were just talking about how home insurance premiums have gone up. They've gone up 10% since last year. And after, a similar increase in 2023. And for Texans, that increase could be even higher given the fact that we are in an extreme weather area. Yeah. So can you talk to us about the rising rates and how they are looking right here in our area?
Yeah, so 10% would be a dream for all of my clients. If they only got a 10% increase this year, last year, the year before, things would be really good. We're actually seeing a 30% increase, wow. And we've seen 30% increases since 2022. So if you do the math, 22, 23, 24, and then 25, you had a $100 bill in the year 22, it would be almost $300 in today's number. So if your homeowner's insurance was $1,000 in 22, it could be almost $3,000 a day. If it was $10,000, almost $30,000 a day. So it is a crazy, crazy situation.
So what do you do? I try to get mine down with a 2% deductible.
Yeah.
But you can go 3%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And so in the crazy thing is that, you used to be able to use your homeowner's insurance for all kinds of maintenance issues. Either a window broke, file a claim. Your roof is, had hail damage, file a claim. You don't want to file a claim these days. And so one of the best pieces of advice that I can give people if they're with a reputable carrier is to increase the deductibles to an amount that, number one, your lender will accept, but number two, whatever you are comfortable with. Go as high as you're comfortable with and see what it does to your premiums and see whether it makes sense to increase the deductibles. But that's the best way to combat the rising rates right now.
And we're speaking with Leash Yu, a real estate and insurance expert and managing director at Higginbotham. If you have questions about this topic, you can join us at 713-440-8870.
So you get the deductible up to try to get the cost of the premium down. We're getting to a point, Leash, where we basically have catastrophic home insurance.
Yeah.
A fire, a flood, which is a different issue,
yep.
I know. But a fire and a flood, and maybe a terrorist act, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy situation. We have a lot of people that just don't want to buy homeowners insurance right now. If you have a lender, if you have a mortgage, you have to buy it. If you don't have a lender or mortgage, you don't have to buy it. But it's really difficult to go without homeowners insurance because it covers this thing also. It just doesn't just cover your house and your contents, but it covers this thing called liability.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to buy liability coverage without homeowners insurance. So people, the smarter ones, are like, well, we can't do that. We're just going to raise the deductible to catastrophic levels. And some of them want $1 million, deductible, $100,000. They just want high deductibles to try to get rid of this cost.
So you talked about maintenance, right? Going and if somebody says I am maintaining my home and my home is all up to date, does that help lower those insurance premiums?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the big drivers of cost is old roofs. So you have an older roof and you haven't replaced it since you bought it 30 years ago. Your homeowner's insurance could be really high, and you can get a really decent discount if you actually put a new roof on it. So maintenance piece number one is a new roof. Air conditioners are the same way. If it's older than 10 years and you haven't replaced it and you replace it, some carriers actually give you a discount for a new air conditioner as well. Old plumbing, old wiring, if it's an original 1950s home or even turn of the century 1900s home, it may not qualify. But if you update that type of stuff and maintain your house like it's a new house, you definitely do get the best rate that you can.
And would you need to go through like an approved contractor? What is that process as well? If somebody's thinking, I'm going to make a big investment in my home, and I don't want there to be any kind of loopholes that, unfortunately, my insurance is going to say, nope, sorry, it doesn't cover that, or that's not looking at that?
That's
What should people know?
Great question. So some carriers do require licensed contractors to come in and do your plumbing and your electrical. Other carriers, they understand that, hey, we might replace our plumbing ourselves. It might be a do-it-yourself project.
Right.
And so you really have to work with your insurance agents and your insurance companies to figure out exactly what is required from a maintenance perspective to get the discounts, the appropriate discounts that you're working on your house.
So we're talking to Leash Yu, by the way. If you have a question for Leash, you can give us a call, 713-440-8870. So talk to me about flood insurance, because there's been some big changes as far as what people are paying, some paying less, surprisingly, and some paying more, surprisingly. So
Yes.
what has happened with that? And where do you see FEMA now that we've had these changes in our government?
Yeah, so I'll answer the first question first because it's easier than the second question. So flood insurance is after October of 2021, FEMA changed how they rate flood insurance. In the city of Houston before 2021, if you were not in the high risk zones, you could expect a premium for flood insurance to be no more than $572. After 2021, FEMA made it more fair across the nation for flood insurance premiums. Fair across the nation and maybe in Kansas City is totally different than fair in the city of Houston. In the city of Houston, it doesn't matter what zone you live in. It could be thousands of dollars for flood insurance. So my home, we live in West G. Our street doesn't flood. We're not in the high risk flood program or flood zone. Our flood insurance was $572 before October 21. If I were to buy flood insurance today, it would be close to $2,500 because it's fairer for the FEMA system.
Well, it's sort of spreading the pain.
Yeah,
And I kind of agree with it, because although you and I don't happen to live in floodplains, you get 50 inches of rain, you're in a floodplain.
Yeah,
And that
right.
happened.
That's right. And so people in Kansas and Colorado who don't buy flood insurance, by the way,
Right.
it is fair for them because those areas don't flood near as much as it does in Houston. But the folks in Houston are like, wow, I would have bought it for $572, but I don't know if I'm going to buy it for $2,500. My street doesn't hold water, and it never held water in Harvey.
Now,
Until it does.
Those,
Yeah,
right.
until
And
it
those
does.
other areas, though, do they have other, they might, we're talking specific flood, but do they get hit in other areas like snow or, other type of extreme weather? And so it balances out a little bit?
Well, from a flood insurance perspective, I mean, they could get hit that hard, but say Colorado. Colorado has all the wildfires, but wildfires are covered on homeowners
That's
insurance.
the other one I was reading about.
Yeah, and so
Wildfires.
that's a huge disaster that doesn't really affect us in Southeast Texas. It's a concern like in Austin and the Hill
And
Country.
the Panhandle
Yep.
as well.
But is it part of the FEMA pool?
It's not part of the FEMA
not.
pool
Okay.
since fire is covered typically on homeowners insurance. FEMA is
That's
covers
interesting.
flood insurance and things that aren't covered on homeowners insurance.
Okay, let's not get too far away
Yes.
from FEMA.
Yes.
Anyone
Yes.
that was affected by Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, they don't have a lot of nice things to say about FEMA.
Yeah.
So, and FEMA's in charge of our flood insurance.
Yeah.
So, where do we stand?
So to me, it's too early for me to understand the impacts on the budget cuts and the Doge activities that are happening with FEMA. It'll be really tested if a storm hits and we get some massive floods. We haven't felt any issues, although I can say that we've been waiting for new flood maps from the Harris County Flood Control District and FEMA since Hurricane Harvey. And if you've been around long enough, after Tropical Storm Allison, they said, hey, we got to do these flood maps. And it was a 6 to 7 year process.
That was 2001.
2001, right? And it was a 6 to 7 year process, and we thought that took long, right? So how long has it been since 2017 and Harvey?
Right.
And we haven't even seen preliminary flood insurance maps. And the rumor is it's because of all the FEMA cuts.
We have a question for you, Leash. This is Robert from Baytown. Robert, welcome to Hello Houston. What's your question?
Hey, thank you, guys. In terms of the Texas Wind Plan insurance, I forget the official name of it, but it covers all the coast until you cross over the Fred Hartman Bridge into Baytown, and it ends for the Harris County, but picks back up for Chambers County. Is there a reason for that? Is it because of Exxon? Is it a political reason? Why is Baytown not part of Baytown's coast not part and covered as part of that plan?
Yeah,
For
so the
Texas
Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, the industry calls it TWIA, they cover the wind for what they call Tier 1 counties. And the Tier 1 counties are all the counties that are directly adjacent to the Gulf of Mexico. And so the areas that you're talking about, if there's a county change, so like closer to Houston, you've got Galveston and Brazoria counties that are Tier 1 counties. They're the counties that are directly adjacent to the coast. But when you cross into Harris County, it no longer is. You're no longer able to qualify for the TWIA Windstorm Association. Does that make sense? And so those areas that you're talking about, if you cross over and you're in a different county that's not adjacent to the coast, then your homeowner's insurance policy should cover you for wind versus TWIA covering you for wind.
And TWIA is going up.
TWIA is going up. It's going up. It's not going up as much as everything else, just because it's highly regulated, and the state runs that group, and so they're really sensitive to how much they increase those rates. But their coffers are really dry. So
That's right. And so the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association Board of Directors actually met back in 2024 and voted to increase a rate increase of 10%. And that went into effect this year, January 1st of 2025.
We could probably tell stories all day, but I remember in Galveston after Ike, there was a transformer that blew and lines fell on a house and the house burned down. Well, the homeowner said, this is a windstorm, this is a TWIA coverage. And TWIA said, no, we're not the ones that made the fire. The fire is what burned your house down, so you got to go to your homeowners. And the homeowners said, no, the reason we had a fire was because the wind knocked the lines down. And this whole, TWIA versus homeowners, how does one resolve that kind of, I know you're not a lawyer, but you've seen this before.
Oh, yeah, we've seen that before, not just on the homeowner side, but we see it on the flood insurance side, too, because the floodwaters come in, and there's an argument, did floodwaters knock it over? Did the wind knock it over? So,
Right.
So there's all these fingers that point back and forth to, hey, it's your responsibility to pay. No, it's your responsibility to pay. The bottom line is it ends up getting paid by somebody, and so it takes a long time for all of that stuff to kind of flush out, but it does end up getting paid as long as you have the proper coverage.
What's your advice? One of our reporters at HPM asked, what's your advice on inventorying your property in advance of hurricanes?
Yeah, that's a great question also. So I get that question all the time. But so if something happens and everything's gone, a lot of the carriers, including FEMA and TWIA, they'll ask you, what did you own? Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to, list every piece of underwear, every, pair of socks that you have. And so what I always tell people to do is take their phone and just walk through the house and videotape everything, open all your drawers, open all your closets, and just walk around the house, just so you can chronicle everything that's in there, right? And that upload it to the cloud, because if your phone floods, it's not going to be there. But if it's available on the cloud, if something disastrous happens, you review it, and then you can either show that to the adjuster, and if they make you give you a big pad of paper, it's much easier for you.
Well, and is it smart to say, here's my TV that I paid $4,000 for, as opposed to the TV over here I paid $300 for? I mean, should you say prices and have receipts?
Ideally, yes, but I mean that's a lot of work.
I know we don't. I know,
just in case,
Yeah, Leash, I do have a question in regards to, we understand that extreme weather, all of the experts, and we're looking at, when we look at extreme weather, it's happening, and it's happening closer together in timelines. Mm-hmm. Do you think we're just in the new normal and people need to just kind of get used to the higher home insurance rates, and that's just the way it's going?
Yeah, I think, one of the big questions I always get, it's very related to that, is when are the rates going down?
When are the rates going down?
And I don't have good news on that, because historically when rates go up, they just stay up. And I don't think rates are coming back down. And whether it's more severe weather events, or whether it's just people are building nicer, bigger, better things in the highly weather susceptible areas, I don't know the answer to that. But from a perspective of rates coming down, I don't know if they're coming down. I think the rate of increase will start softening, but I don't think we're going to see this. Oh man, we're going down 100% on homeowners insurance, back to the good old days. I don't think that's happening.
Well, it helps a little bit if the legislature will continue to bring property taxes down.
Yes.
Because when you go to buy a house, you put it, what's my mortgage going to be? What are my property taxes going to be? And what are my insurance premiums going to be? And if you add them all up as one piece,
Yeah.
you kind of have your budget.
Right.
So if your property taxes are $1,000 and your insurance is $2,000, at least you've balanced it to the $3,000 you could do.
Yeah.
Is that feasible?
No, it's 100% feasible, and I think I think we can all hope for better tax breaks on our property, and hopefully rates will come down. But again, I don't think they're going to come down.
But allowable deductibles, will those go up? Will lenders let those go up?
Yeah, they may have to start letting them go up. Most lenders will let you go up to 5% of the value of the dwelling, the insured value of the dwelling, and yes, they may increase that, but the question is, can anybody afford that? Can you afford a 5% deductible if something disastrous happens to your house?
That's a good question.
Most people can't, right?
And so what can homeowners start to look at besides, the upgrading? Do you have any good news for us? Because I was like, I'd like to talk a little bit also about
so the good news is 2025. So we've seen 30% increases since 22, 23, and 24. 25, they're flushing out more like 20 to 25%. So I think the market is softening. And if you look at the insurance carriers' financials right now, you're seeing some good news from the financials. They're catching up on all of the catastrophic losses that by the way, are what are causing this huge issue. But they're catching up from a premium perspective in being able to pay more of those losses now. And when they do that, the rate of increase goes down. So and also because of that, because of the softening, more carriers are coming into the market. And the more carriers that come into the market, the softer things get.
This is an interesting YouTube comment from Fritz Goldman. Our carrier insisted vegetation be removed 5 feet from the house. And a landscaper said that he's gotten that request quite a bit recently. Why is that?
So I don't know where he lives, but a lot of people, a lot of the carriers will require that if they're in the high wildfire prone areas.
So maybe even up toward Montgomery County.
Yeah, and typically the higher the wildfire risk, the further back they go. In Colorado, it's like 100 feet from the house. They don't want any vegetation. They just want rocks up against the house and no trees. And trees are a big problem right now. 15 years ago, we were in these insurance agent meetings, and they were showing us all this technology that, hey, we can do satellite imagery, and if there's trees overhanging your house, the trees are bad news, and we want you to cut them down.
If you saw the red roof house in Lahaina, it didn't burn down. When all of Lahaina burned down, the red roof house didn't, so you can Google it.
Yep.
But sure enough, they did it right. We have a call for you. Anna from Northwest Houston. Anna, what's your call for Leash?
Yes, I used to be an insurance agent. This was before, the 2012, everything that happened. But
you got out when it was good.
The fair plan, the SMART plan for all the states that the state-sponsored plans to get people that have no homeowners policies because you can't get them with a major carrier, so that they have to have that 2 years to be able to get with a big carrier. It's most of the carriers are pulled out of a lot of states. I know that. But I was just also wondering if people knew that you can get, if you're a renter, you can get, or you used to be able to get, the flood insurance for just your property thing.
Right.
If you're in a place like that. So I just was that was just one of those things I was thinking, a lot of people don't know about insurance. And then also, filing a claim. A claim is only if something happened, an immediate thing, or there's a time frame and all of that sort of thing. And a lot of people don't, if they haven't kept their house up, it's a slow leak or something like that. And then filing a claim is just going to raise your, horrible premium already, and now that they've gone up so much, it's just one of the things, especially with a lot of older people.
Yeah.
Have lots of insurance and make no claims.
Yes. They paid for years and years and years and had no claims.
Thank you, Anna, for that call. Leash, do you want to respond?
Yeah. So the Texas Fair Plan, it's what the state of Texas calls the insurer of last resort. It is meant to insure homes and clients that have mortgages that can't find insurance anywhere else, maybe because of claims or the condition of their house. And so we utilize that as a tool, but only as a last resort, because the Fair Plan homeowners insurance policy, by the way, is terrible coverage. It basically, I tell people, if it doesn't burn down, down or blow away or get stolen, you basically don't have coverage. And so there's a lot of things that can happen to your house besides, wind and, fire and theft. And also it has become kind of expensive too. I mean, it's not the least expensive option. So don't think, hey, it's the insurer of last resort. They'll help me with cost. It's not necessarily so. Sometimes it's really expensive.
And we have another call, Sully from Sharpstown. Sully, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Leash?
It's a comment about insurance deductibles.
Yep.
When a hurricane comes, the thing that is at most risk, period, at most risk is your roof, okay?
Right.
The roof comes. And I don't know what the number is right now, but last time I looked, a roof cost about 2% of the value of the house.
Right.
So if you have a 2% deductible, that means the biggest risk that you have is entirely not insured.
That is correct.
After Hurricane Ike hit, I did about a dozen roofs for people. And there was one guy, I charged him like $8,000 for the roof. He got a check from his insurance company for $300 maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. Yeah.
That is something to think about when you think about deductibles.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Thank you for calling, Sully. Leash, what is your comment?
Yeah, my response to that is he's absolutely correct. And I had a 1% deductible on my roof, and I wasn't going to file a claim, but it was just interesting to know that I replaced my roof for pretty much right at the deductible with a 1% deductible, right? And so now most insurance carriers are requiring at least a 2% deductible. Some carriers are requiring a 3% wind deductible, and so in the trend that you're seeing here is that insurance carriers just don't want to pay for your roof, and they don't care what happens to it. I'll go out on a ledge and say this, and I think that pretty soon they're just going to exclude roofs, right? There's not just the increased deductibles, but there's this thing called the roof endorsement, where they start depreciating your roof if it's older than 10 years. So the 11th year, they're not replacing your roof, but by the time it gets to 20 years, they're basically saying, hey, we've depreciated 100% of your roof. So if it's 20 years old and something's wrong, you're paying for it anyway. I personally, and this is not my opinion is my opinion, I think the insurance carriers they're going to just say, hey, we're not covering roofs anymore.
Man. Well, Leash Yu is a real estate and insurance expert and managing director at Higginbottom. Leash, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me.